Hey everyone, so today we will be going to discuss something about DOM. So DOM in the sense document object model. So from this class we will combine our HTML with JavaScript. So until now we didn't combine JavaScript with HTML. So we're only doing HTML and CSS both combined, but we didn't really combine JavaScript with HTML. So JavaScript in the sense we are not making the page interactive for the user. Until now, whatever websites we are designing, it is static websites, right? So user can't do anything with it. But from now on, user can interact with our website, user can click wherever they want, and whatever they want to do, they can do in that case. So first, let's see an analogy. So suppose you're watching a TV. You're watching a TV and think like TV is your HTML page. Okay. So now you want to control your volume or you want to change your channel. So how can you do that? So basically you need a remote for that. So your remote is acting like a bridge between you and your TV, right? So in the similar fashion, DOM will act as a bridge between HTML page and JavaScript page. So it will make your page interactive, HTML page interactive, and it allows users to interact with the website. Okay. So first we will see what is the DOM basically. So whenever you have some code in HTML, so let's take an HTML page, simple HTML page. So I'm making some template. Okay. And I am writing some title, my text. Okay. And I'm writing some h1 tag, my header. And I'm also writing some p tag, my. So if you see this document carefully, so you will see something known as doc type. So, okay, so what do you mean by this? So document type is HTML. So HTML is also a kind of a document, right? So let's open this with your live server and in your browser and see what is happening with this. Okay, so I'm opening with the live server. So you're getting some page like this and going to inspect once. After going into inspect, so you can see something like elements. Okay, in elements, can you see this? So everything is like an object. So this add is separately an object, right? So basically it behaves like a tree. Here the main root is document, root element is document or HTML, and then head is inside the HTML tag. So everything is inside HTML tag, right? Can you see this? Everything whatever we are coding is inside HTML tag. So this is a root. So HTML will contain separate objects. So head is like kind of an object, body is kind of an object, and then this is coming from live server, so I didn't know that. So head, and so inside head, again we have title as one object, and inside body again we have h1 as one object and p as one object. So everything is an object here. So if you see this tree, it is showing similar to that kind of layout. So the root element HTML, and it is having both head and body, and head has title as my text, and element h1 as text content of my header, and element p has text of my paragraph. So everything is coming like a model. So what will happen is whenever you code something in your HTML, okay, so if you open this HTML page in web browser, so browser creates a DOM of the web page. Okay, so the browser will automatically create a document, another representation of this document. So this is one kind of representation, but browser will create another kind of representation that looks something like this, which is known as a DOM. Okay, so this is a representation of HTML page, but when it is loaded on browser, it will load in forms of object. That's why the name is called document object model. Okay, so everything is formed in kind of an object. So that is basically a document object model. So we can also see what all is there in a document. So before that, we need to make HTML and JS in one file, right? So until now, we are making .html convention or .html extension, but we are really not making JS file inside this. So how to make JS? So how to make this HTML and JS meet each other? So you can go into HTML page, and after this HTML tag, entire HTML tag, we need to keep one tag known as script. Okay, script instance JavaScript. So inside this, you can write whatever code you want. Write JS code here. So whatever code you want, you can write inside this. Okay, you can write functions, can write functions, variables, and then objects, whatever it may be, whatever you learned until now in JavaScript, everything can be written here. Okay. And one more thing is, so there is one more thing known as console. So if you use a REPL, so there is one thing known as shell, right? Inside shell, you can see whatever consoles you write. So similarly for HTML page, so there is one console in the browser also. So this console is very useful for you whenever you do programming or whenever you want to debug your code. So it is like your best friend. So for every programmer, console log is your best friend. Like in HTML, how you use border as your debug tool. In similar fashion, in JavaScript, you'll use console as your debug tool. Now, how to open this console log in your browser or somewhere. Okay. So until now in REPL, you're using shell or something that is known as terminal. There is something known as browser terminal also, something known as browser console. So you'll see where we can access that console log statements and all. So inside the script, I'm keeping console log now. So console.log, welcome to Tom. Okay. So I will run this in live server, or I'll copy with this path. So I'll copy this path and run with open with browser. So I'll create a new file. So opening it here. Okay. So if you see carefully, there is something called as console beside elements in your browser. If you right click on this browser inspect, there is something known as console here. So if you open this console, so I am writing log, 1 second. Yeah, it is console.log, not console comma log. So console.log. So one more thing is this consoles will show you errors. So it will tell what are the errors you're making. So similarly, if I write comma, it told it is not correct syntax. Okay. So in a similar fashion, it will show whatever is right and whatever is wrong. So now if I refresh my page, so can you see it is telling welcome to now. So you can access all the console log statements in this console window in your browser. Okay. So now what we will do is we will see what actually is inside our document. So we saw that inside our document, we have so many things like that. So we'll see whether we can see all these things inside a document or not. So what I will do is I will do instead of welcome to DOM, I will do console log document. Okay, let's see what is inside a document. So document in the sense entire HTML document, right? So now if I open the browser and if I refresh, so can you see document is an object. So whatever symbol comes like this in your browser, it is an object. So I can also show you. Suppose if I have var obj is equal to something a1, and if I do console log obj. So now if I refresh the page, I will get in terms of this triangle. Can you see that? So this is basically an object. Okay. So the document is entirely is an object. So inside this, what is head? Head is again a kind of an object. So can you see this? So head contains title again, and then body contains h1 again and para again. So whatever T structure we saw previously, so it is there in our document. Okay. So we can access all these things inside the document. There are a few more things we can also access from the document. So those things are something like document.url. So document.title. So if we try to access this, so if I try to, I'm removing this. If I try to access document.title, okay. So what should I get? So it's going inside the document and searching for title. So what is the title here? If I refresh the page, I'll get my text. Title is my text. Okay. Now if I write document.url, so I will get my website URL here. In this case, it is F volume, Masai pre-class, all those things. Okay. So if I write document.body, so I'll also get whatever inside the body. So entire body, I will get entire body now. Okay. If I write document.all, so I'll get all the things inside the document. All the things to present, meta tags, title, body, h1 script, all the things. So I can access all these things from the document itself, from the main parent. Okay. So document is your main parent. So we'll see more about this document in the upcoming lectures, but this is the basic understanding of what is document object model. So basically document object model in the sense, whenever you create a file in HTML or whenever you open in HTML file in browser, it creates a DOM of the web page. Okay, it creates a corresponding to a document. It creates another representation that is known as DOM. That is the basic understanding of document object model. So now inside this DOM, so we have so many events. So events in the sense, whenever suppose a person is clicking on some button. Okay, so whenever you're clicking on button, means when you're clicking on your remote button, so TV remote button, your channel should change, right? Whenever you're clicking on volume up button, so volume should increase. So whenever you click on volume down, volume should decrease. So in a similar fashion, there will be some buttons inside a web page. So how can we control these buttons? How can we have these buttons interactive? So for that, what I'll do is I will write a simple button in HTML. Okay. So I will write a button. Okay. And I will write button. I will write something known as like. So you'll see these like buttons uh, in Facebook or some Instagram or something. So let us try to open copy this path and open this CLI server. So now I'm getting a button, something like this. So now whenever someone clicks on this button, I want to do something. Okay. When someone clicks on this button, so the event here is on click. So for button, I need to write a on click event. Okay. So on click event is generally written in the opening tag itself, like an attribute. Okay. So I will write on click equal to, I need to write some function here. So it takes some function name. I need to invoke a function here. So I will invoke a function like me. This is a function. Okay. So now let's try to refresh this. So it is not getting anything. But when I click on this, so what should happen? So when I'm clicking on this, so like me is not defined. Why? Because we invoked a function, but we never defined this function, right? So this like me, so JavaScript is searching for this like me in the script file, but it never found. So now what we should write? So we should write function like me. Okay. And you can write whatever you want. So if I write console.log like me, someone like. So now if I refresh my page, now if I click on like, what will happen? If I click on like, so my function will get invoked, right? So when I click on this like button, this on click event will be triggered. Okay. So this will invoke the function like me. Now it will go to line number 15 and it will print the console message. So let's see if it is happening or not. So if I click on like me, can you see that? So seeing someone like me. So what is the process around this? So someone is like clicking on the like. So user clicks on the button. On click event is triggered, right? So we saw that on click event is getting triggered, which invokes the function on click is equal to like me. Now JS engine searches for like me function in the script. So it found function like me at line number 8 or something. And then whatever is present inside this function, it will get printed. So print someone liked me in console. So that is the process basically for this on click functionality. Okay. So next we'll see something known as alert. So I think you might have seen this alert messages while visiting some other websites. Like you will get something like pop-up alert messages. Okay. So we'll see how this alert message will look like. So now what is syntax for alert? So the syntax is just write alert and then write in forms of a string, whatever you want. Okay. So I will write someone alerted me like this. I can write like this. So what I will do is I will cut it and instead of console logging, I will paste inside this or someone liked me. So now what is happening, instead of consoling the someone liked me, I'm alerting it. So we'll see how this alert message will work. Now we will refresh the page. So when I click on this like button, what will happen? This on click will get triggered. This event will get triggered. This event will in turn invoke my function like me. So now it will go to line number 16 and it will alert the messages. So now if I click on like, So can you see you're getting something like alert pop-up, and whatever you wrote inside the string, it came here. So someone like you. So this is how like means alert will work. So you can use this alert for logging in, signing up. You might have seen this in some other websites for logging in, signing up, right? Cool. So next we'll see something known as selecting an element by ID. Okay. So let's suppose I have an element. I'm removing these buttons now. Let's suppose I have an H1 tag. Okay. And I'm adding one. So I'll write some ID to this. ID is equal to head1. So now when we are dealing with selectors, so how can we select this H1 based on ID selector? So we should write some style and we should write head1, right? Head1 and do whatever you want. So this is basically selecting by ID. So in a similar fashion, we can also select by ID from JavaScript. Okay, we can select the H1 tag or we can catch the H1 tag by using this ID. The syntax for it is so document dot get element. So why document? Why we are writing document dot? Because whatever tags we have inside our document only, right? So it's an object. So document dot get element by, we are getting element by its ID. So the syntax is get element by ID. So you should make sure the syntax is correct. It follows the camel case. Okay, camel case in the sense the first letter of the new word will be capital. So get element by ID, and what is the ID name here? Head1. So now let's see in the console. So I'm storing in some variable where x is equal to document dot get element by ID head1. So now I'll do the console of this. So console dot log x. So now whenever I load this page, so it will go to line number 15. So what it says document dot get element by ID head1. So it searches for the entire document for the ID head1. So it finds here and it will print the heading. So let's see whether it's working or not. So if I refresh the page, can you see that? You're getting the entire H1 tag, right? We are getting the entire HTML tag. So this is for console log X. So it is in line number 16. Can you see the line number here? In line number 16, you are printing the entire head. You're getting the entire element by ID. So it's printing the entire H1 tag here. Okay. So in this fashion, you can catch the element by its ID. Suppose if I have one more element, P, I am para. Okay. And for this, I have ID equal to para. And what I will do, I'll take another variable where y is equal to document dot get element by ID. What is the ID name now? Para. Now if I do console log y. So now let's see whether we're getting this para P with ID para and this text content. So if I refresh the page, so I'm getting I am para. Clear? So in this way, you can get the elements based on these IDs. You can also get the elements by class names, tag names, and all those things we'll see in next steps. But for now, you need to know how to get element by its ID. Okay, cool. So that's okay now. Now we are getting the element. But what I want is, I want only the text content or inner text inside this. So if you remember in our starting class, day one, we discussed what is inner text or what is text content. So whatever text is there inside this two opening tag and closing tag, that is known as inner text, right? Text inside the opening tag and closing tag. So now how can I get this inner text? So I want to get only inner text, not the entire H1 tag, not the entire P tag. So for that, what can you write? So if you see the flow diagram at the starting, so in this flow diagram, so for element, the text is my text, right? So it is like nested object. So can you use dot notation now? So for H1, this text is a nested object. It is coming below the object. So now can you use para head1 dot inner text? So what you're getting? So first you're getting the head1. So it will select the entire H1 tag. Now you're writing dot inner text. What is inner text of it? Inner text is I am adding one. So now let's see whether we're getting that or not. So if I refresh the page, so can you see? you're getting only I am adding one. So now similarly, if I write for paragraph, if I write dot inner text and now refresh the page. So now you should see only I am para here. Okay. So whenever you want to get inner text of any element, you need to do dot inner text. Okay. So now if I have one more a div, so div with ID equal to container, and I'll write I am a box. So now I want this I am a box in my console. So what can I do? I'm just showing in the console right now. I will show how to show this in browser also, but for right now, we'll see how to get in console. So now I will write var z is equal to, first we need to catch this ID. So can you catch the ID? So document dot get element by ID container. So we got the ID now. So we got the entire div. Now we want only the inner text of it. So how can we get the inner text? Dot inner text. So now if I do console log z, if I refresh the page, so I'll get I am box. So in this way, you can get inner text of any ID, any element is just an ID by using the ID. Cool. So now let's discuss one more topic that is inner HTML. So until now we saw what is inner text. Okay, so I will change this a bit. So what I'll do is inside this div, I will write an I tag. So I tag is basically for making your text italic, right? So if you have if you have went through documentation, I tag will basically make your text italic. So I'll show you the output also. So if I refresh it, so can you see it is making my text italic. Okay. Now, is there any change in my output? If I write dot inner text, is there any change? So I'm getting the same things, right? I am adding one, I am para, I am a box. So now what I will do is I will make another variable where some C or some A, where A is equal to document dot get element by ID. I will get container only. But now instead of inner text, I will write inner HTML. And I will do console log A. So now see the output and think for 5 seconds and tell me what's the difference between these two things. This is the console for inner text and this is the console for inner HTML. So what inner HTML is returning you or what inner HTML is giving you? So inner text is giving only the text inside this, right? I am a box. But what inner HTML is giving you? Inner HTML is giving you the entire tag also. So inside this div tag, you have one I tag also, right? So this inner HTML is also giving you this I tag, italic tag, when you are writing inner HTML. So inner HTML will return HTML tags also. So that is the main difference between inner HTML and inner text. So whenever you want to get inner HTML out of your tags, you need to use inner HTML, else you should use inner text. Okay, cool. So now my next task is I want to change something in this. Okay. So now I want to change my inner text to a new value. So I will take one more file here. Okay. So I have some h1 tag. I am adding one. And I also take a button. Change my text. Okay. I'll write a script file here. So now I'll open with Lyso, open a copy path. I'll make it both side by side so that you can look at it. Like this at the bottom. Okay. Okay. So I'm writing, I am adding one and change my text. So now what is my problem statement is whenever I click on this change my text. Okay. So whenever I click on change my text, so text should change to I am adding one updated. Okay. So now my text, whenever I click on the button, my adding text should change to I am adding one updated value. So my text should be something like this. Okay. So we'll see how can we do that. So what is the first step? What is the first step here? So the first step is you need to write an on-click event, right? So whenever you click on the button, you should change, right? So we need to write an on-click event. So how can you write an on-click event? So go inside your opening tag, write on-click. On-click is equal to function invocation, change text. Okay. So now call this function here, function change text. So now let's see whether our function is working or not. So I'll keep on a simple console and I'll write inside function. Okay. Now if I refresh my page, if I change my text, so I'm going inside function. So my function is working fine. So now what I want to do, I want to change my text, right? I want to give my text a new value. I want to override the old value. So how can I write? So first I need to have an ID for this. So ID is equal to, I will write head one. So first catch this heading one inside the function. So how can you catch that? Document dot get element by ID head one dot inner text. So what this inner text will give you now? If I do console log the entire statement, what this particular line will give me? So this particular line will give me this sentence I am adding one. Now I want to change this to I am adding one updated. So can I reassign a value to this as a string? So I will write equal to I am adding one updated. So what I'm doing in this case, I'm catching the head one. Okay. And dot inner text, I'm giving a new value instead of the old value. So now if I refresh my page and if I click on my button, so can you see I am adding one update. So I got my updated value now. Okay. So in this fashion, you can interchange or overwrite your old values and keep a new value there whenever you click on the button or something. So now can you see your web page is interactive for the user. So when you're clicking on change the text, it's changing the text. This is one way of changing your text. There are so many ways to do to deal with that. So we'll see more in the live session where we do some problems regarding this. So now the next part is getting values from any input tag. So if you visit any website or online or when you applied for Masai, so you might have filled your full name, email, password, all those things, right? So we already made this kind of layout, but we didn't do anything with the entered information, right? We didn't enter anything. So we don't know if we enter these things, what will happen. So now we will see what will happen, how to capture these values and how to store these values in somewhere so they will store in some database, right? So some backend. So they'll store in some backend and then they will retrieve whenever they want. So now we'll see how to get these values from the user input. So let's create a new file for this. So value.html. So what I'll do is I'll create an input tag now. So I'll copy this path and paste it here. So I'll create an input tag. So this input tag will basically ask for username. So enter name. Okay. And then I'll also have a button for this button submit. So now my problem statement is, so whenever I click on this button, I want to get the username of the entered user. I want to get the name whichever user has entered. So whenever user clicks on submit, so I want to get this name from the user in the console, and also you'll see how to keep it on the browser. So now what is the next step? Whenever you click on this button, so first you try to on click event. So on click is equal to get data, some function name, and we'll write the function here, function get data. Okay, let's check the console first, console.log inside function. Let's check if function is working fine or not. So now if I click on submit, I'm getting inside function. So my function is working fine. So now what I need to do? So I need to get the value, whatever value user is typing in here. Suppose if I type Chandra and submit, so I need to get this Chandra in my console. So tell me one thing, whatever you're entering here, whatever things you're entering here. So what is the attribute for this? So let's see if I'm keeping some value is equal to XYZ. So now if I refresh, can you see you're getting XYZ in your input tag? So can you tell that whatever we are entering inside the input tag is the value attribute for the input tag? If I type XYZ something something, so I refresh the page, can you see all the things? So now whatever I enter here, so can you tell that this is the value of our input tag? So what is the default value for any input tag? Default value is empty initially, right? So it looks something like this. So default value is empty string. So now whenever you type something, so whenever I click on Chandra, so my value is basically Chandra here, right? There is no change. Even if I refresh the page, it is same. So now if I capture this value, it will be enough, right? So in some way, I want to get the value out of the input tag. So how can I get the value? So first give an ID to the input tag. So ID is equal to name. So how to get the name, how to cache this input tag based on ID. So document dot get element by ID name. So I'll store in some variable here. So where username is equal to document dot get element by ID name. So what is username now? So now if I write console log username, so what will I get? If I click on Chandra and if I refresh, if I click on Chandra, if I click on submit, so can you see you're getting your entire input tag, right? So now, but you want value out of it. So how can I catch the value? It is also nested object, right? So simply keep dot value. So now let's refresh our page. So if I type Chandra now, and if I click on submit, can you see I'm getting my name in the console. So basically your value is now Chandra. Clear? So this is how you can capture value from input tag. Suppose if I have one more input tag, okay, of type email and placeholder enter email address. So now if I refresh the page, so I'll get two input tags now. So now I want to get the values both from name and email. So what can I do? So along with username, I also want to catch the email. So how can I catch? So where email is equal to document dot get element by ID. So what is the ID for email? So I'll give some ID to this. ID equal to mail. So get element by ID mail dot value. Now if I keep username comma email, so now I should get both username and email in the console. So now I will write Chandra and then I will write vchandru111@gmail.com. So now if I click on submit, so can you see I'm getting both the values. Okay, so in this fashion, you can get the values in the console. But what if user wants to see get it displayed on the browser? So whenever some user submits here, so he wants the data to be displayed on the browser itself, not in the console. So how can you do that? So I want to display somewhere here. I will keep one H1 here and keep one H2 here. Okay. So I'll tell the display name here and display email here. So now I'll keep some IDs to this. ID equal to name display. And for this ID is equal to email display. So I want to display name and email at this point. So now whenever user clicks on the submit, so I want to change this display name here to my name which he has entered here, and similarly for email. So what can I do? Instead of console, what can I do? So if I rewrite this value, should be enough, right? So we saw previously how to rewrite the value. So for rewriting a value, you need to keep dot inner text is equal to new value. Now, what is your new value in this case? So new value is username for this H1 tag and email for this H2 tag. So first, let us try to catch this H1 tag. So how can I catch the H1 tag? So document dot get element by ID. So what is the ID here? Name display. Okay. So now you catch the name display. So you catch the entire H1 tag. So now you want to reset the inner text of it. So what to do? So dot inner text equal to what is your updated value in this case? Updated value is whatever value you're getting from the user, right? So I will keep it as username. So similarly, can I do it for mail also? So catch the mail. So document dot get element by ID, email display dot inner text is equal to email. So whatever getting in the value of email, we are giving it here. So now let's see whether getting that or not. So if I refresh the page and I'll enter some name here and then some email, gmail.com, and if I click on submit, so you can see you're getting both the name and email on the browser. So in this way, you can get the data on the browser also. Okay. So that is all for today's pre-class session. So we'll see more about this and detail into this in the live session. Thank you.